Welcome to Leadapreneur. All right, hello everybody and welcome to the Leadapreneur podcast. My name is Jan and I'm the founder and CEO of Leadapreneur. We are a coaching company that helps ambitious professionals level up their skills for the age of AI. And we're interested in human greatness because as we go forward into the age of technology, it's very important that we don't forget that at the end, it's humans plus technology that create success and make the world a better place. And we've been looking to talk to great professionals, especially here in Southeast Asia. We're in Kuala Lumpur at the moment. And we're interested to hear the journey, the lessons that have been learned, and the advice that they can give us as we go forward into this disrupted world. So I'm delighted to invite here Mr. Mohammed Rawi Abdullah. We can call him Rawi, he's told me. And he has over 4 decades of experience in the financial services industry, culminating in being the head of HR for Standard Chartered Bank here in Malaysia. And it's worth noting that he started his career when I was born. So I'm really looking forward to hearing your story, Mr. Rawi, and learning some lessons from you about how we can go forward into the age of AI.
Sure, I'm happy to share, but you make me feel very old.
Why is that? What happened?
No, because I always felt that I was young.
Yes.
But when you say that you were not even born when my career, when I started working, so it comes back to me and say, hey, you have spent a lot of time in this world already. So that hoping that that experience which I have gathered over the years, I'm able to share with a lot of my friends, family, and even the audience itself.
Yeah, I think we're looking forward to that. But before we begin, we've got some rapid fire questions for you. Let's ask the most important question in Malaysia, which is, what is your favorite food?
This is a good question. I don't eat rice, so my favorite food is chapati.
Well, you can't say that, Malaysia. You'll get into trouble.
I'm a bit odd Malaysian.
Yes. Wow. Okay. Brave statement.
Take away from the staple food.
Yes.
For a long time, because the way we just to share a bit of how we cook rice. When I was young, my grandma, when I lived with my grandmother, she actually tells us that we should boil the rice, right? Boil the rice and then throw away the starch,
right?
And then cool it down and next day water to the plants itself, and all the plants get very green.
Right.
So
that's
my grandmother used to tell me that that's what it will do to your body if the starch gets into you.
You'll turn into a plant.
Yeah, not you turn into a plant. It gives you more starch and all the stuff, carbo stuff itself.
Yes.
So in the current way of cooking is you have a rice cooker. You put the rice inside there and then you put the water in. The starch gets back into the rice itself.
Okay.
I don't need rice. That's the reason. And believe me, when I did this, I was on 120 kgs. I didn't do anything much. I dropped 40 kgs in a year.
You were 120 kgs.
Yes.
That's it. I mean, I see a very slim, handsome man in front of me. Yeah, I can't imagine that's 120.
So the rice starch actually put on the additional 40 kgs.
Because that's the best thing people are going to get out of this video. Stop the rice, start the chapatis.
Thank you.
So let's pivot from food to music. What's your favorite band, favorite song?
My favorite band was Alley Cats. Right,
Alley Cats.
In Malaysia.
Yes.
And the favorite song is Hingga Akhir Nanti. Right. This is the 1970s. Right. The group actually was there.
So it's a Malaysian band.
It's a Malaysian band.
Right. Okay.
And if you Google up and see, you will see a lot of good songs from Alley Cats itself. They are a group of non-Malays.
Yes.
Who sings Malay songs.
Well, that's just Malaysia. All the wonderful mixture. Everyone coming together. So we're moving now from music to one of my passions, animals. I have 2 beautiful twin cats. What's your favorite animal?
I love ornamental fishes.
Ornamental fish,
So,
okay.
And at one point in time, I was so crazy enough, I had 11 aquariums in my house.
11 separate aquariums.
Separate aquariums.
11?
11.
You didn't think at 7 it was enough?
No.
You got to go for double figures.
No, you went crazy.
More aquariums.
So, and I've scaled down now. I only have 1 aquarium.
Okay, right, yes.
Fishes has been something I always felt it was very therapeutic in the way that you are relaxed watching them swimming at night.
Yeah.
So it actually helps to de-stress a bit.
Right.
So and of course any pets you have helps you to de-stress, bonding with them.
Yes, right.
So having a pet is just like having a close friend. Very important.
Yes, and they often don't talk back, which is great. You can just talk with them.
Much more easier.
Yeah, they're like, right, yeah, you agree. So from animals to colors, do you have a favorite color?
My favorite color is blue or black.
Blue or black? You got to pick one. You got to
Blue.
pick blue. Okay, why blue?
Blue is a calming color. It's very universal. You can use it anywhere. It doesn't put you in a striking position. It doesn't give a very unrecognizable color itself. So it's a color which suits the eyes.
Yes.
For a lot of people.
Yes.
And I'm sure you are almost like blue. You also love blue, I think.
I do, yes, I do. Yes, yes.
So blue is a favorite.
Because I believe you have blue eyes. Is that correct? No?
I wish
You know,
I had blue eyes.
All right, okay. Vacations, as we're going rapid fire here. What's your favorite vacation
Of
destination?
course, my favorite destination is Mecca, the holy place.
Yes.
And the most relaxing place for me is Medina, right?
okay.
Where the blessed prophet is laid to rest there.
Yes.
And I have gone all over the world. I feel a lot of tranquility and peace in that space itself. So definitely Medina will be the favorite place itself.
Wow, I've never had a chance to go, but hopefully
Yeah.
it would be pretty magical to experience that.
You got to really become a Muslim before you can enter into
Well, that might be on the cards.
Alhamdulillah.
I have a wonderful saying has captured my heart, so I might be on that pathway, Ravi.
Inshallah,
Yes,
inshallah.
inshallah, indeed, yes. So we got just two more quick questions for you. So one is your favorite movie.
I am a James Bond fan.
Good choice. Yes, you're right.
So all my movies, if you ask me, from the time Ian Fleming started off his movies and up to now, James Bond has always been my love.
Yes.
Right. So I'm waiting to see who will be the new Bond.
Right, the whole story. But what's your favorite Bond? If you have to pick one movie out of a...
Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig, really? Okay, right. The first Casino Royale, wasn't it? That was his
Yeah,
first one.
he did a couple of Bonds.
Yes, yeah.
So, but he's more of the macho, young, agile, at the same time humorous, right? So I thought that he will be my favorite pick, right? But unfortunately, in that Bond movie, they had to kill that character.
Yeah, unalive him, I guess. Yes, yes, yes. Not sure I mean, it's James Bond. James Bond doesn't die, right? He's just...
Bond is always there.
Yeah, he's like got the banter and the badass.
Yeah.
So then the last one, we have here some treats I bought. These are actually bought by my family for Christmas. We have some Haribo and some Rittersport.
Okay.
Do you have any sweet treats that are your particular favorites?
I don't eat sweets.
Okay.
So there are no chocolates.
No sweets at all?
No, the day I cut off my sugar, the rice, I also cut off all sugar in my body.
Just, wow. Not even a tartaric or anything?
Whatever I take, don't have sugar inside there.
Wow.
Right? So I believe that we don't require that sugar into our body because we can actually get it from the food we eat itself.
Yes.
So, and sugar has been a notorious thing for a lot of people.
Yes, of course. Yes.
Just try to reduce as much as you can. I know it's not easy for some people.
Yes.
Because when you have the craving,
I'm one of them.
I understand. But it's always to go on moderation.
Yes. Even moderation, there in moderation sometimes. Well, thank you for the rapid fire questions, just to get to know you a little bit. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to ask Rawi for an inspirational quote just to set the frame of the conversation. We're then going to spend about 10 minutes talking about his personal story, starting into the 80s, and let's see where he takes us. We'll then look at some of the lessons he's learned. Especially, we're interested in the price of greatness. What does it take to be a great professional? The language of blood, sweat, and tears. And then we'll be looking to conclude by asking for his advice for the future as we go forward into the age of AI. What's his guidance for professionals looking to become great, especially here in Southeast Asia? So, Rawi, what is your inspiring quote? What can you share with us that inspires your heart?
My inspiring quote probably comes from William Butler, who is a famous Irish poet. He says that, don't wait to strike till the iron is hot. Strike it to make it hot. right? So that resonates quite well in terms of a lot of us actually don't go out and create the opportunities for us itself. We wait for opportunities at the right moments to happen for us itself.
Yes.
So if you look at this quote itself, it tells individuals to go and seize opportunities. Don't wait for the moments. You create the moments itself. So that resonates a lot, and that's why I love that quote from William Butler itself.
Yeah, when you shared it with me earlier as we were preparing for this session, it kind of really hit me because I loved that idea of how there's a human intentionally doing the striking.
True.
And you're doing the difficult thing and you're warming it up and you have to bring the energy. You have to bring the moment of striking, right? To create that heat, as you're saying. And there's a repetitive nature to it.
True.
Not just once, but consistently.
Yeah.
I saw that was very powerful. I mean, perhaps that's something we can unpack in your story. Where would you like to begin in terms of telling us about your personal journey of your four decades?
Just to bring back in terms of, I've been in 4 decades in the FI. I worked in the business side, retail banking, corporate banking, and 2 decades in human resource itself. So, but I just want to share in terms of when I started off work itself, way back long time ago, and I finished my
This was 1984.
1983.
And 1983.
My education.
Wow,
So,
okay.
And at that point in time, my dad was earning a very low salary, about 500 ringgit Malaysia, equivalent to $120 a month, which is very, very a small amount, and he had to feed five people in the family with that income. And when I finished my high school, my dad told me that there were only 4 varsities in Malaysia at that point in time. So, and he said that he can't afford to actually send me for a higher university education.
Yes.
So he said that it will be okay if you start working itself. So I started off applying for a lot of companies. Actually, technically, I applied for all the banks I can apply, right? Because at that point in time, you just want to work.
Yes.
Standard Chartered was the first to call me up and set the interview and hire me. Right?
Wow. How old were you then? What was that?
I was 19.
19. Right. Wow. Okay.
So,
so no university, fresh out of high school, into Standard Chartered.
So, and when at that point in time, I had a couple of banks also offered me at the same point in time.
Yes.
But since I've already started off in the bank itself,
yes,
I started off as a teller in the bank. Right.
Right. Wow. So and what was, if you don't mind sharing, what was your starting salary as a bank teller?
I started off with $260
ringgit, right? 260 ringgit.
Yeah, ringgit, which is probably equivalent to what, $50?
Roughly something like that, yeah. Per month, right? Not per week, per day.
Per month.
Yeah.
So it looks like pretty small at this point in time. So, but those days, it was just enough to survive itself, right? Because one thing, the cost of living was not as high as we are currently now. If I were to give you a comparison with my salary, you can buy a link house for the price of, say, 19,000 ringgit Malaysia.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right,
right.
at that point in time.
Yeah.
So, and when I started off to work at that point in time, life was not easy because you work pretty long hours itself in the organization.
Like how long? Because you were telling me some of the stories. Yes. What were your hours?
Because we were so manual based, there's so much of tasks to be done.
Pen and paper.
Exactly. So you get into the office by 8 and you knock off maybe by 11 p.m.
Not a.m., right? Like, yeah.
So you do good 14, 15 hours, 13 hours a day on a daily basis, and you work 5.5 days a week. All right. The Saturday, which is actually a half day, translates into a full day because of the tasks you're supposed to do.
Right.
So you only have a good Sunday, which is a rest day itself.
Yes.
So, and as opposed to now, people go back at 5, 6 o'clock, and yet I hear this thing, work-life balance is still coming out, right? So, and those days people had to really work hard just to feed their children and family itself. So I think that we should always look back and see how we landed into this space itself. So our forefathers really helped a lot. Myself too, I think the baton was passed to us. All right, now I'm passing on to the younger generation the baton itself. So, but we should also know when the space we are now is also the groundwork has been done by the previous generations itself. Technology advancement. I was in a life where I saw two technologies, the advancement of technology and the old school kind of technology. I don't know whether any of you guys have remembered the telephone where you have a dial there.
Yes.
You have to dial it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And making a call was very expensive.
Yes.
My parents used to lock the phone so that we don't abuse it. And now we can actually make calls at any point in time, anywhere in the world. You don't have to pay a single cent through WhatsApp and all that stuff. So fortunate you guys are. So
it's crazy, right? I mean, I used to have to pay, we had to pay 10 pence per 60 characters of SMS.
Yeah.
Right. So if you send 10 messages, that was a whole pound. Right?
True.
That was, that broke the bank. Mom and dad were very unhappy.
Yeah.
So as you kind of accelerated through that, so let's say you're getting to the early 90s, right? What was that? What were you starting to see in the landscape? You were as a teller, you kind of grew up in your career. So, what pulled you up?
When I started off as a teller, I don't have tertiary education. So I had to start off somewhere. So after 2 years working, I did my diploma in banking itself. And I felt that you have to upskill yourself, have certain qualifications to remain relevant on the job and grow itself. So I did my undergraduate and postgraduate while I was working. And it was not easy doing the studies while you're working.
Yes.
At one side, you have to find an income. The other side, you have to find the time, the space to go and study itself.
But why did you want to do it? Why not just say, I'll just remain a teller? What drove you? Because you're in your late 20s now, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah. So
why take the harder path?
So if I remain in a skill which I had before, right? The time I did in 1983 after my school education itself, if I don't build on that skill itself, I may turn out to be irrelevant in the industry itself. Right. So, I'm always fascinated to learn from animals itself. All right. If you look at the dinosaur itself, among all the dinosaur species, the T-Rex and all the raptors, all have perished. The reason is because they choose not to evolve itself. But there is one dinosaur among all the species itself, which actually is in today's world itself.
Right.
We actually learn to evolve over time and adapt to the space they are around. And that is the crocodile itself, right? So, and like that, if we choose not to upskill, reskill ourselves, we may also be irrelevant and one day we'll be phased out. And that will be a day where the organization gives you a voluntary separation or whatever and say, hey, you don't have any more job for you because your skills are not wanted at this point in time.
Yes.
So don't wait for that opportunity. Go and strike your own iron.
So what you're saying is, well, that's a great point, isn't it? You're striking the iron and doing the difficult thing. You're working 14 hours a day and you're still pursuing higher education because you hadn't had the chance to go to university yet. And you're also recognizing, because, today in the age of AI, we're again worried about job loss. But what you're saying is in the 90s, that was also a fear.
Yes.
Right? It's not the first time we faced this fear.
True.
Right? And so you felt it was that fear of becoming irrelevant that kind of motivated you. And that's perhaps a good example of harnessing fear.
True.
That not running away from your fear, but using the fear to recognize this is real.
True. But it doesn't come easy. There are a lot of sacrifices involved.
Yes.
When I did my studies, I actually had to sacrifice my Saturdays and Sundays because the classes were on Saturdays and Sundays because we are more like part-time students.
Yes.
So we work on a normal day, and Saturdays and Sundays are the days we devote ourselves to for the education.
Full day? Is it a full day?
Full day.
8 hours Saturday, 8 hours Sunday.
9 hours.
Yeah.
So you imagine I had children at that point in time. For almost 3 years, I could not see them on a Saturday and Sunday to take them out for any functions. All right. You sacrifice that piece itself because nothing comes without a sacrifice. Everything we do, we have to make a choice in our life itself.
Yes.
So that is a choice I decided to do. And if I look back today, the only regrets I had probably is I did not spend that time with my children itself.
Yes.
But when I look back and ask how do I created the value with them is I created a lot of moments that matters for my children.
Yes.
Spend more quality time rather than having a quantity kind of situation where every Saturday and Sunday you're at home, but you really don't have that big takeaways from.
Well, exactly. You know, if you hadn't made that sacrifice and you had been there all the time, not that that's you would have taken a different path.
Yes,
right.
Definitely,
you wouldn't be where you are today.
I would definitely not be where am I today. Right. Because that skills which I have learned, and over the job learning itself, and also having a strong resilience, perseverance to move forward itself. All right, these are the values which actually will bring success to any individual itself. So, and I always tell people that the sky is the limit. All right, you chart your own future itself.
Yes.
Go strike your own iron. I keep on telling people that.
And then I think what's also then, you know, implicit in that is the willingness to pay the price.
Yeah.
You know, we've talked about blood, sweat and tears. I think of blood as sort of, it doesn't have to be literally blood, although sometimes it is. But that must have been so difficult for you to give up the weekends with your family.
Definitely.
Right? I mean, of course, you're aware of it, right? You're feeling it in your heart. You're aware of it. Maybe there's some difficult moments, right? They're not quite understanding why you're not there because it's not a one-off. It's, I think you said nearly 3 years, right? So that's a true sacrifice in that. And then, so that then took you then to the late 90s, around about the millennium,
Yes.
the Y2K bug,
Yes.
these kind of things. So what was then the sort of the next lesson that you learned?
So the next lesson I learned is came early 2000, and I decided to. I was in a different field. I was doing the business of the bank itself. I was in the corporate banking division, right?
So you come up from. Can you just quickly tell us? You went from teller.
I was teller to right up to the head of human resource.
Yes.
For the bank.
Probably not in one jump.
So
right?
if you look at in terms of ranks, probably I would have moved about 20 odd ranks.
Okay, but to help the audience understand, you started as teller, and then you got to the 2000s. What was your progression then? So you did teller, and then
teller, officer. Then after officer, you become manager, and then managers also got various ranks of managers.
Right.
Right, and then you become senior manager. Then you become head of a particular department, which I ended up with.
Yes.
So, in terms of hierarchy, I think to me that is not important to me because we learn in that process where we are. We all work together for a company. There is no hierarchy in my. I may be sitting in a role, but my employment letter is the same as the teller's employment letter. We are the same employers, so we have different roles to play, right?
Yes,
but we do it together, kind of situation. So
that takes us to the early 2000s. Yeah. You're now head of a department.
Yes,
that's your situation.
That's right.
Yeah, and so what's the lesson that you learned then?
Continue learning. Right, nothing changes. Always dare to take new things because, as I mentioned, I was from the business moving into human resource because that's my discipline I studied, and that shift was not easy because it disrupts your norms. Right, your comfort zone where you were doing something.
So you were choosing to disrupt your comfort zone.
I was choosing to.
And you're in your mid-30s at this point? Or?
No, I was about my early 40s.
Early 40s, right. So because that's quite a big decision again. You know, some people in their 40s kind of, let's kick back a little bit.
No.
Right, you're choosing to go the other way, to disrupt yourself.
All of us should always disrupt our comfort zone itself. Right. We really want to grow.
But why? It's so painful. It's so difficult.
Yeah,
isn't it easy just to remain?
Of course, it's easier to remain, but your growth will not be as good as if you disrupt it, right? Yes. So, and I always tell people that in life, there is a learning process forever. That until the day we breathe our last breath, right? That's when learning stops itself. So, in order learnings to happen, you have to constantly make disruptions. Right, from your comfort zone itself. Just like when I wanted to go and do my education, that's a disruption of my comfort zone, right?
Yes.
And when I took on a different role itself, a disruption of my comfort zone. While in human resource also, I was fortunate that my people leader was willing to share and allow me to learn new stuffs. So I went on doing some departments, various functions, talent acquisition head, HR business partner, com and band head. He gave me this opportunity, and
you didn't have any experience in that before.
No.
So you just like, sure, I'll just do it.
Yes,
okay.
I will do it. All right.
What a great attitude.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that is a positive side because you are willing to learn, right?
Yes.
So the willingness to learn, whenever you start learning something new, it's going to create some disruption around you.
Right.
But
right.
I'll be rest assured, it is a very short disruption because within a month or 2 or 3, you will normalize yourself. And now that will be your new norm itself, right? So that's how life goes on for a lot of people. So, and I would always encourage people, don't sit in your comfort zone, always disrupt yourself, continuous learning all the way.
And it seems, if I'm kind of piecing this together, you're saying also there's sort of a commitment to growth at a fundamental level in your soul, to not give up, to not become stuck, to not become stagnant, but to embrace the gift of being alive.
True.
And to keep seeking new ways to experience this gift of creation and find new ways to learn within your life story.
Yeah.
So when you're kind of making this leap, what kind of inspired you to make such a different jump into something you didn't have, I presume, much experience in HR?
Yeah.
What triggered that in you to make that leap? Because before you were sharing your story, before you did the learning because you're afraid of becoming irrelevant, and now you're in this next jump, was there a similar fear, or was there something that excited you, or was it something else that motivated you?
So first of all, because I'm a Muslim, right?
Yes.
So being a Muslim, the Holy Quran is something I hold on very strongly. So the first verse from the Quran, which was revealed to the Blessed Prophet Muhammad, was Iqra. Iqra, read, right?
Read.
Okay, so, and it repeated, the angel repeated 3 times to the Prophet itself, read. So, read, you can't get knowledge. This is about knowledge she's trying to teach mankind itself. So, knowledge does not come just by putting something into your head. You have to read, that means you have to learn, right? What it means here, all right? So, as a Muslim, it becomes incumbent upon myself to go and seek knowledge itself and constantly learn.
Yes.
All right. Else I fail my duties to the Creator itself.
Yes.
So learning here is not only spiritual, all earthly stuff you have to learn, science, geography, your work, and all the stuff you have to learn itself. So that was the reason motivates me to constantly learn. And as you learn, you reskill, you become relevant, and you add value to your employer itself, right? So
your faith and your sort of sense of duty and honor to honor the faith helps not just motivate you at a trivial level, but at a profound level to embark upon the difficult thing to do. But do you think that if you hadn't had that faith, would it be harder for you to do that, do you think?
No, learning is from the day we are born, we all learn.
Yes.
Right? Our first greatest teacher was our parents.
Yes.
Right. So our parents taught us to learn and that constantly a process, whether we learn from our parents, we learn from our family, we learn from friends, we learn from the surroundings, right? Learn from observations. We learn always. We constantly learn itself. So and why we are in that capacity to learn, because our mind is created in such a way. We have a great brain, which is called like a computer CPU, which can constantly absorb a lot of stuff inside there.
Yes.
So, and the more we learn, right, the more our mind changes in the way we see stuff, we communicate to people. A lot of stuff changes itself. So I always encourage if anybody can actually learn, go before you knock off from for the day and hit the bed, ask yourself, what did I learn today? Was there any learning from me, right? So reflecting on that learning is also important.
Yes.
Every time of the day, we take a step back. Are we learning something good? Are we learning, or are we doing something which we have done before? That is also learning itself, right? So are we, is this, don't call it a mistake, right? Always tell people we do mistake in life, but don't call it a mistake, call it a learning, right?
Yeah.
Don't do the same mistake twice. There are a lot of other mistakes to do. Right? So,
Go explore other mistakes. So what do you think then in terms of, so this word learning, because it's always a bit tricky, because I found myself sort of realizing that, as you pointed out earlier, learning isn't just putting stuff in your head in some sense, right? Loading the file and maybe to unload it, because I think there has to be an element of behavior change fundamentally. If I'm learning a new language, if I'm learning to speak Malay, and I'm learning on Duolingo, but I can't sit down and speak Malay over a Tetarik in the Mamak. I can't really speak Malay, right? Even though I get perfect Duolingo scores, for example, right? What are your thoughts on this sort of, this deeper practice of learning and self-transformation, perhaps also around maybe unlearning, relearning, and behavior change? Because I think a lot of learning today has become this sort of sense of, I need to complete the exam, take the questions, and I get a certificate, and that shows I've learned something. But I don't think you have that approach, right?
We learn, we unlearn. Some of our learnings also may actually we modify from it and work forward. Learning comes, as I mentioned, comes from, the most important stuff is for us to have an open mind and say learning comes from everybody itself, right? Anywhere it can come. For example, I have a 4-year-old grandson who is an autist, right?
An autistic grandson.
Autistic grandson.
Yes.
Right? So and I too actually learn sometimes from him by observing him. There was this incident where he behaves a bit hyper and all this stuff. So he was trying to play with this group of kids itself. And the kids were actually distancing away from him. But his perseverance, kept on being kind, his humility, and eventually the kids started playing with him. So I thought, oh my God, this is some learning from me also. In life is about having that persistence and having some humbleness and humility in yourself. And slowly people will start accepting you itself. So it also came from him by observing him itself. So, and I will always believe that even the youngest person in this world, a small child, also can teach us sometimes some good values and learning itself. So learning come from anywhere itself. So long as we have an open mind, we want to learn, we want to improve ourselves, and certain of the learnings, when it changes, we have to unlearn and learn new stuff itself. We are open to this, then I think we are on the right path.
It sounds like, I think that sounds like, if I may, like it's a lot of work. It's not something to just do easily. Because a lot of the times there's a temptation to learn to be right, right? I'm right, he's wrong, see, haha, right? Or look at this person, they're being foolish or whatever sort of act of judgment. But learning in terms of being open from anything and being able to then sit with it, integrate it into yourself, right? And then see how can this change things. That's really, really powerful. Where do you think then, you're in the early 2000s, was there a time in that sort of decade where you worked maybe at your hardest, where you really, we would call it sweated the sweat, where you really feel that you pushed yourself to the absolute limit? Do you have any stories you could share with that of pursuing greatness through hard work?
No. When I pushed myself to my extra limit is when I was doing my postgraduate studies, right?
Okay.
Because there was one incident. And the other one is also I pushed myself to extra limit because my late wife, right, she actually passed away because of cancer in 2017.
I'm sorry. Yes.
It's okay. Then I remarried currently. My current wife is me. But at that point in time, it was a difficult space of time because while she was battling cancer and I had to rush myself to the hospital, at the same time I'm also working itself. So I was very fortunate. I had good leaders, right, who has empathy, has compassion, right? So they told me that this was not a situation where working from home and all this was available at that point in time.
Right. This is pre-pandemic, right?
Pre-pandemic,
2017.
exactly. So,
and these are the leaders at your workplace?
no, the leaders have left, and those are people who actually touched my heart, and they created for me moments that matters to me, right? So I will always remember that. So, and they allowed me to work from the hospital itself.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
And
but next to your wife,
to my late wife. And,
wow.
And those were the tough 6 months I had at that point in time, juggling, because when you're emotionally down, things don't really work in the way you are looking at a very stretched day. Every day you actually go with hope. Right? Hope that.
Could you share us what a day felt like for you? What was that like?
It was while work was something I had to do, but managing the emotional aspect of caring for the loved one itself.
Right. And, were you sleeping in the hospital, or
no? I had to go back every day because they don't allow people to sleep.
So you're waking up, you're on your own at home, you're making breakfast.
So when you go back home, also you can't sleep. You're thinking about all this stuff. So this was the most difficult moment for me.
Yeah.
But and I always tell myself that what's difficult today will be memories tomorrow. All right. So in life, we got to really see things through in the lens of all these are trials, all right, tests for us, and we all are born with tests in our life. Right. The magnitude of tests is different. Even the richest man in this world also got his own test itself. Our test varies itself. So, and showing gratitude and appreciation and thanking the Creator for all these memories you have given. It was the most wonderful stuff, because there's some memories with my late wife I have. All right, and sometimes we always fail to see that we all are here as a pass-byer. All right, we will leave one day this world, but when we start attaching to people, right, that's where the challenge is coming. So I have also learned how to attach, and when the time has come, I have to detach myself. So I've learned that itself.
That's very incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
How did you achieve that wisdom?
Learning from experience.
Yes. Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that story. And was that maybe the hardest moment for you in your life? Was that, in the sort of blood, sweat and tears aspect, talking about?
It was emotionally stressful for me at that point in time. And it is something that I wish it doesn't happen to anybody outside there. But if it happens, then don't worry. Whatever is on your shoulder today, it will ease off tomorrow, right? There is this greatest saying, time is the greatest healer.
Yes.
It's very true.
Yes. So what was your working title at that time when you were?
I was the head of employee relations.
Okay, so you're the head of employee relations. Your wife is sick and in the hospital. I think you have some children to look after.
Yeah, I know. My kids have grown up.
Oh, they've grown up. Okay.
I had only one staying with me at that point in time.
Yes.
So it was not much of a hassle taking care of kids. So it was not an issue.
Yes.
It was just juggling my emotional aspect at that point in time.
And what do you think was, we're coming to the last 10 minutes of it. So perhaps this could be a nice segue into like a lesson learned, because I think there's a lot of people today who, including myself, who faced great emotional challenges, mental challenges, just very difficult situations. And you kind of come to the edge, right? Where you can just collapse and fall off, or you hold on and you hold on to something and you find a way to make it through to the next day. Time starts to heal and you keep moving forward. But sometimes people do break, right? And that's also, quite catastrophic and difficult. And I think in the pursuit of greatness, of daring to try to rise, that's a risk that we all face. Could you share, some advice for people looking forward into the next couple of years, where they are now, where we think we're going?
Yeah.
how to handle that kind of challenge, because the AI is going to put a lot of pressure on people, technology, this accelerating world. I think some wisdom from you could really be illuminating here.
Yeah. So just in the current landscape, more awareness of mental well-being it's there. So and we all know that not every day is going to be great for you. There'll be also difficult days for us. It's okay. We are human beings.
Right.
So it's all right. You may have good days, you may have bad days. So that's natural. But if you really have a problem or an issue, talk it out. Talk it out to family members. Talk it out to your friends. If you really cannot reach out to anybody, there are a lot of agencies outside there. In most countries, they have agencies where you can reach out to people. Do speak to people, because there is no problem which cannot be healed over time itself. And let's look at problems not through a magnifying glass, because you can see the smallest problem become the biggest problem for you.
Right.
Look at problems through a mirror reflecting on yourself itself. So, and you can always find an answer. Human beings are meant to survive, right? And we have survived a lot, all the era, and we will continue to thrive as human beings itself. So, and don't just give up in any situation. Seek help. Seek from friends, as I mentioned just now. So always reach out to people. Don't keep the problems to yourself itself. So my advice, because mental stress is some issue for a lot of people.
Yes, sure.
Sometimes mental stress is not about being crazy. Take away this negative connotation. It's just like when you have a cut in your hand, you have a mental stress. That's also something like a cut, a scar in our emotions or whatever it is, which creates the stress for us itself. So look at it very positively. Go and get help from people. Speak to people. Don't keep it to yourself itself. So I've seen a lot of people who actually go through bad phase itself by taking on their lives. I've seen this in some of my friends. And always remember that there is always your family at the back there, your friends at the back there.
Yes.
A lot of people are going to just be disappointed at that point in time. Everybody asks, why didn't you speak to us?
Yes. I've experienced that myself.
Yeah.
I made that mistake.
So,
I've learned that one, the hard way.
so try to talk to people, speak to people, enjoy life. This is the greatest moment. Our lives are very short actually in this world. We come in a phase. Enjoy the moments we have. And it's okay to make mistakes in life, right? So don't be afraid to make mistakes, but make sure that that mistake is not repeated for the second time, because as I mentioned, learning from mistakes it's more important than making a mistake itself. So
and I think there's also an element there of, when you are trying to have that threshold moment, do I share or not? I think what I now feel is only when I'm scared, I actually feel scared. My heart feels apprehensive. Should I share this? Is it too much? I'm worried, because I'm not in control. Right? I'm sharing this and it's going to be so vulnerable. I don't know where it's going to go. That for me is a moment when I know I'm being authentic. That's the moment when I know I'm sharing something real. Because before, in the past, quite a while ago, I thought I shared. I thought I would communicate my issues or vulnerabilities, but I didn't. And that led me fell down a dark hole there. It took me some time to get out of it. And I looked at that now and I realized I didn't understand that to really share vulnerably requires that courage. That courage, which I learned comes from the French word cœur, which means heart. It's a this courage. It's literally here in the body, not here. It's not a head thing. Courage to share into the relationships. So we're talking about the courage to share your vulnerabilities and grow from them. How else do you think in terms of technology, maybe AI, how do you see that equation working?
If I were to give a story, when I was a young boy, I have to bring you to this story so that you all can appreciate how technology, right? Don't fear technology. My class teacher at the back of the exercise books, for those people, baby boomers will remember that you have to memorize the timetable at the back of the book. There's 1 times up to 12 times table, right?
Yes.
So, and you will sit at home trying to memorize it. 1 times 8, 8, 8 times 2, 16. You know, you keep on memorizing up to 12 times, you know. And then the next day, the teacher will ask you, 9 multiplied by 9. You've got to straight away say 81.
81,
Spot,
exactly.
right?
Yes, yes.
Right. If you don't say, then you have to show your fist and the teacher will give you one knock with the ruler on you.
Oh, really? You get a little...
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So, and that was an era where I had to memorize. And later, when my children were going to school, they were allowed to bring calculator to school itself. That means in secondary school, they can actually 9 multiplied by 9. He will use the calculator to calculate.
Yes.
You don't have to memorize this stuff, all right?
Yes.
So they allowed that piece itself. So just like today, if you, so he was able to do other stuff rather than wasting time sitting in your house trying to memorize all these timetables.
Yes. Yes.
Just like today, we have ChatGPT and AI and all the stuff. So people will actually use this generative AI for tasks which are mundane, which takes a lot of time for them to do itself, for humans itself, so that human beings can actually take a space behind to do more valuable stuff itself. So it will give you to do more strategic work, more self-reflection kind of stuff, more wellness stuff for yourself. So a lot of stuff will be taken off from your shoulder itself. So that's why I say that don't reject AI and all this technology, embrace it itself. Just if I were to share another story, you know, when I started off working, there wasn't any technology. There's no ATM machines. There were you can't do banking.
There were no ATM machines?
There were no ATM machines. So
That's unimaginable. Wow. Okay.
So literally on a Saturday and a Sunday,
sure.
Imagine this. You want to withdraw money, you can't withdraw anywhere, right? And suddenly you need to pay certain stuff. You can't do online banking transactions, right? So you basically don't have money in your pocket from Saturday, Sunday, up to Monday when the bank opens. Okay. So, and today we don't face this problem, right? We are able to do banking transaction over the weekend. You can do online transactions over the weekend. And all these became doable is because we have technology advancement here.
Yes.
Correct. Did the technology really do bad to us? No, it did good to us. So ethical using of this technology is very important. We use it for our benefit, all right, rather than using it for the wrong purposes itself. So for the 40 years, I've seen a lot of technology coming into play. Embracing it is the only way forward itself, right? And it will definitely do good to mankind if we have used it in the right manner.
Well, Rawi, we're coming to the end.
Yeah.
I'd like to say thank you so much for joining us. It's been a real privilege to interview and hear your story firsthand. What I'm taking away from this, across your rich story, is to honor the gift, the duty of greatness. Don't give up on yourself. From your early days as a teller who sacrificed his weekends with his family to learn and be hungry, having the courage to jump into a whole new field like HR, and then still having, even in the darkest moments, to be able to keep working and supporting your loved ones at the same time. I find it really inspirational in what I see as a sort of a commitment to your own greatness, a duty to your greatness, to honor the gift of life and what the Creator has created for you here. I also admire your emotional vulnerability, that courage to say how important it is to not trap yourself in your dark thoughts, but get out, share it out. That's really key, especially in an age today where mental and emotional well-being are critical priorities. And as you've just shared, perhaps most importantly of all, we've seen it all before. It's not the first time you've seen a technology disruption, and it won't be the last. Embrace the technology and tool. Don't fear it. Put in the work to master it and unleash your greatness. So on behalf of Leadapreneur and the podcast team here, thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you. Great. Happy to share. And I hope that the learning adds value to the audience and yourself.
I'm sure it will.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. All right.